The film begins somewhere during the Second World War in Berlin. The Führer Hitler is with the coach named Keppel. Hitler expresses his dissatisfaction with the gesture of greeting the people to Keppel. He disagrees that although the Nazi salute is over, fascists need to at least raise their hands to the wrist and show respect. He then says that he has done everything possible to destroy the enemy's foundation which has defiled their soil. He finds the existence of the Germans inconsistent and finds it worrying that he is here too. In the following scene, he wakes up on the ground somewhere in a forest and looks up at the sky. He sees that the enemy planes are missing and guesses that they must have taken some rest. Suddenly, a ball comes bouncing towards him and stops right at his side. He picks himself up and walks towards a building in front of the bush. He is then approached by 3 children who question him if he is okay. Hitler looks at them and thinks that they are the future of the nation. He asks them the way. A reporter, Fabian Savatsky, is filming the children with his camera. Hitler is seen on the other side of the screen. He lifts his army cap and tells himself that he must go to the Führer bunker. Hitler comes across the street and is amazed by the people riding mono-wheel bikes. He finds people capturing him on their cameras and expresses that people have gone mad. Then he feels a modern car by his hand and questions himself if he fell into a coma and missed the victory. He realizes that he is not aware of his situation entirely and alerts himself to collect more information. Then he asks a man about the location of Chancellery, but the person instead asks him for a picture. He gets disturbed by the cameras, flashes as people come near him and take photos in turns. Confused by the unusual events around him, he concludes that something went out of hand in this place as Hitler walks away. He finds a woman speaking in German on her phone. He comes closer and asks her about the current date, but the woman is terrified and sprays on his eyes. Hitler cries in pain as his eyes get reddish and his vision gets blurred. He stumbles and walks to a newspaper shop nearby. He gets shocked to see the date October 3, 2014, written on the paper and falls to the ground at once somewhere else. The boss of a TV station, Karner, praises Mr. Christoph Sensenbrenner for his excellent job as the deputy's head. He proposes a higher solution, but instead announces another worker named Miss Katja Bellini as the managing director. Due to this, Christoph is shocked and dissatisfied. He comes to his office and vents his anger out at a struggling filmmaker named Fabian. Despite Fabian's best attempts to convince his boss, he gets fired and thrown out by the guards. Sometime later, Hitler wakes up at the news shop and asks the owner about the date. He confirms that it is, in fact, 2014. A confused Hitler questions if the shopkeeper has kidnapped him and suspects that this is all a trick play of the enemy's secret service. He threatens to kill the shopkeeper if he is working for the enemy, but the shopkeeper gives him a bar of chocolate instead. Hitler opens it after quite a struggle and sniffs it. He declares it to be industrially pressed grain and questions the shopkeeper. If there is still a shortage of bread, the shopkeeper asks Hitler if they are filming a documentary somewhere nearby, mistaking him for an actor. The shopkeeper then says that he looks exactly like the Führer, to which Hitler replies that he is the Führer. After that, Hitler sees the Turkish newspaper and asks if the shopkeeper has Schirmer or Panzer Bar. The shopkeeper says that he has more Turkish customers. Hitler is astonished at the presence of Turkish people in Berlin. He then starts collecting information from the newspaper while reading it. He assumes that he didn't win the war in the past, and Germany was given to the hands of clumsy women having the charisma of a wet noodle. He further mourns the existence of Poland and ends the war as a total ruin. Meanwhile, Fabian watches his video reporting about football and sobbing, saddened by the fact that he was fired. "Don't worry, Fabian, in a few years, you can get a job on YouTube." His mother calms him down and asks him to stop the video. Seeing Hitler behind Fabian is happy to discover a man who looks very similar to Hitler in the shop. The shopkeeper asks Hitler to put the newspaper aside and asks Hitler to stand outside asking him to work. The shopkeeper suggests that Hitler wash his clothes before he smells it. He then goes to the laundry and asks them to clean their uniforms. Hitler asks if he has another uniform because he cannot walk. Naked Hitler doesn't understand that he is now in modern Germany, and nudity is not a big deal. Next, we see Hitler walking into the new dungeon in Busen with jeans and a sweater on Hitler's luck. Fabian, on the other hand, somehow manages to find her and is waiting for her inside. After seeing Hitler, he is shocked to see his appearance. Fabian asks Hitler if he can film him as he travels through modern Germany. Hitler agrees with this view. Fabian takes some cash and a car from his mother and begins his journey with Hitler. The two end up in a hotel where Hitler gets amused at seeing the television. He then decides to talk about politics in Fabian's presentation. He goes to places asking people regarding their views on politics. After the interviews, he finds that there was minimal impact of democracy upon people during his absence. He inspects discontent and suppressed anger in people, which reminds him of the 1930s when people had similar views but lacked the term political disenchantment. People tell Hitler about the problem of immigrants in the country, making Hitler push his idea that mixing the races doesn't work. Later, Fabian asks Hitler the source of his unique mustache. Hitler replies that he cut his mustache to a shape that fits a gas mask. A while later, the two end up on a farm where Hitler gets bit by a dog. He is enraged and shoots at the animal. Fabian scolds him and seizes the gun as the tour goes on. Fabian eventually runs out of cash, but he thinks of a plan and convinces the passers-by to have their sketches drawn by Hitler. Hitler finally gets to exhibit his creative side and draws sarcastic pictures, which people find funny and pay for. They continue their trip after collecting enough money back in town. Fabian shows a clip of Hitler to Christoph. The video has a lot of views, as Fabian has uploaded it to the internet. Christoph is impressed by the large number of views on the video. He asks Fabian for Hitler's name and contact number. After meeting him, Christoph suspects Hitler to be a lunatic and asks Fabian to take him away from his office before leaving. Hitler enters the director's office and asks her to save Germany together with him. Interested by the idea, Bellini asks him about the plan. She quickly asks her assistant to prepare a proper TV format for broadcasting the Führer on listening to Hitler's idea. Fabian then threatens Christoph to give him his job back, or else he will take Hitler away. On hearing this, Christoph makes him a kitchen boy, promising to promote him when a new editorial post opens up. Kitchen boy is better than an internship, I guess. Sometime later, Hitler is given a table at the TV studio. Christoph calls Kromer to help Hitler with computer use. Hitler recalls the computers of his days and labels the invention to be one of the greatest. Karl Mayr tries to sign up Hitler to email, but informs him that his name is already taken. Hitler grunts for others, stealing his name, and tells her to use New Reichschancellery as he liked it. Christoph plans to put Hitler on a live comedy show called Whoa Dude. He is still salty because Bellini got a promotion instead of him and intends to create trouble for her. He intends to bring racism to the debate through sarcastic jokes on Jews and throw out Hitler. The show starts and Vit Sigmund, the host, calls for Hitler on the stage. The audience gossips about Hitler's appearance, but when Hitler gazes at the audience, the hall goes completely silent. Hitler soon breaks the silence, but does not read out the lines as scripted. He explains that he is to tell a joke about immigrants, but he is not going to do so. He says that a TV is a great invention of the human, but the show is broadcasted are nonsense. Clearly, Hitler hadn't seen Game of Thrones yet. He sheds lights on problems like poverty and unemployment and forecasts that the people of the country are heading towards the abyss without noticing it. Hitler vows to fight against the TV not only up to the broadcast of the abyss, but also until he succeeds in overcoming them. Everyone likes the idea and claps for him, seeing Hitler's popularity. The host, Vito Siegmann, gets envious. Bellini asks Christoph to broadcast Hitler in every show. Christoph is distressed because of the failure of his plan in the following scene. We see Hitler give interviews on numerous TV shows and share that his motive is to make Germany great again. Wow! This movie was ahead of its time. His popularity grows immensely, and he meets several people and party leaders. He starts charming them all by sharing his ideas. One day, Hitler and Fabian visit NPD headquarters in Berlin. He calls for Ulf Bien, the federal chairman of NPD, and asks him what his cause has achieved so far. Hitler belittles him and says that they have wasted enough time, and the movement is taken aback by decades due to their words. Christoph gets excited and happy when the cops and district attorney appear at the TV studio. They explain that they are here for a complaint of charging violation of hate laws. Bellini asks what they are to do, then quickly Christoph pops that they might need to cancel the Führer's show. The DA says that they can keep the broadcasting on. Bellini takes a sigh of relief, while Christoph fakes his smile after the DA leaves. Lohmeyer hands over a letter to Christoph stating the payment of the dog, which Hitler had shot earlier in his trip. Christoph receives the letter happily, believing it might be a way to cause trouble. Next, Hitler is put on a TV program where he is asked direct questions about his different roles in the war. Hitler responds that he wants to reach out to people, but the interviewer tells him that all his deeds cannot be justified. He shows him the clip of him shooting the dog. The video disturbs the audience. Hitler is angered and threatens him that he would do the same to him. He further says that he will turn their studio into a parking lot for tanks. Christoph gets happier seeing people's negative responses. After the disastrous interview, Bellini is fired and Christoph is appointed as the new manager. After that, Hitler goes to Fabian's house and starts living with him. He expresses amusement at the path taken by destiny and starts to write his second book. The book soon hits the market 3 months later at the TV studio. Everyone sits in a meeting where the massive loss that the company has gone through is discussed. Christoph believes that Wnendt's show will put them back on track, but one employee informs him that he has quit his job. Christoph gets tense and mad at the selected employees for losing the show. One of the staff suggests getting Hitler back, which interests Christoph. He looks for Hitler again and offers Fabian that he will invest $1 million in the film that Fabian and Hitler are shooting, if in return, they let them broadcast the movie on their TV station. Hitler and Fabian come to Krohmeyer's house, where Krohmeyer's grandmother identifies Hitler. She claims that Hitler gassed all the people up and killed them. She calls him a criminal and shouts at him to get out in the car. Hitler shares that he is surprised at Kromer being a Jew. He starts to belittle Jews, calling them less of humans. Fabian gets disappointed at Hitler's actions and his words back in the set. Fabian gets Hitler to replay how he got to the place. He asks Hitler what happened before the ball came rolling to him in the woods, but Hitler cannot remember it. Later at night, he walks off the set and is surrounded by some thugs. They call him the reason to take Germany back and give him a hard blow on his face as Hitler opens his eyes. He finds himself in a hospital in front of Bellini at the same time. Fabian looks over the footage of the video he captured about the boys and soccer. He watches it closely and finds Hitler rose from where he was lying. Fabian gets amazed at what happened before it. He quickly goes to the place and finds a board at the location, stating the historical location of Führer Bunker. Fabian rushes to the hospital but does not find Hitler. Bellini says that he is headed to the shooting set. Fabian reveals that he is the real Adolf Hitler, but Bellini does not believe him. Fabian acts mad and tries to explain his theory hysterically. The guards try to catch him, but he flees. Fabian then reaches the set and aims a gun at Hitler. When asked about his identity, Hitler explains that he never claimed to be anyone else. Fabian says that Hitler is fooling people with his propaganda, to which Hitler replies that people elected a leader who shared his whole idea openly in 1933. Fabian takes Hitler to the top of a building with his gun. He surrounds Hitler and declares him a monster. In return, Hitler clapped by saying that the common people chose an extraordinary man and handed over the fate of the country to him. He explains that the people chose him because they hold the same values in their inner hearts, and the shooting of Fabian enrages Hitler, causing him to fall from the building across the street. Soon, Fabian hears Hitler's voice, who says no German can get rid of him, and Hitler, who had just been thrown down, appears right behind it again. Just then, Berlin demands a cut in the studio, and everyone is excited to shoot. Turns out it was just a movie shoot, and a random actor was playing Fabian. Hitler then asks everyone to remember the comrades who could not have been with him anywhere else. Kromer is crying. Seeing Fabian through a hole in the mental ward, Hitler and Berlin are busy giving autographs and interviews to people after the film boom as they pass a car. People on the street go crazy about Hitler and greet him with respect. Please subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notifications and hit the like button to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.